Let's take you straight to where all of this was going down, so to speak. Bring in our senior reporter now, Canny Maphanga, live to us from the Madlanga Justice College, where, Kenny, it was more than an hour of a back and forth around this preliminary issue.
Indeed. Good morning to you and to the viewers again. It seems that the preliminary issues are now moot, and we're expecting the merits of the application to be addressed shortly in the next 5 minutes when Advocate Kameel Premhid discusses some of the prayers that are sought in the application. Now, contrary to what Carrim may seek to advance by stating that his documents may not be confidential here before the Commission, but we actually don't have any knowledge as to what the merits or the substance of this application is for the proceedings to essentially be held behind closed doors. Now, it has always been a norm that the Madlanga Commission holds these hearings in a public manner, and following that application by the media houses earlier last year, you saw that where there is an issue of safety or any concerns that meet the rules of the Commission that is dealt with case by case, you bring the application, and that's when the application is determined. But we're seeing that you're dealing with a witness, which it was highlighted when Phase 2 started, that this is going to become a problem where issues of Phase 2 witnesses raising prejudice, fairness, their safety, threats to their lives, issues of that nature. But the difficulty with Suleiman Carrim's evidence is that, or rather his application, is that a lot of these issues are well known. We've learnt of them through Phase 1 of the testimony through the WhatsApp exchanges of alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, coupled up with the fact that Carrim has made several attempts before the Commission, which could be seen as attempts to allegedly evade the testimony. First, it was the application in court, which was dismissed. Then there was a postponement bid citing the issues of fairness and prejudice, which wasn't opposed by the Commission's bench. Now they want to take the entire proceedings or the entire evidence behind those closed doors, which means that if they're successful, the public will not be able to get a response from Suleiman Carrim directly from him as to what his alleged involvement was, if any, in this alleged close link to alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, because that's largely the context upon which he is implicated. It is through that SABC contract, the SABC Medicare contract, the alleged kickbacks that followed, the SABC confidential information that he allegedly leaked and shared, and how he got that information as just a mere Northwest businessman, and of course that also the alleged political affiliation that is to the political party, the ANC, and how that mixes up in all of these allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. So it's quite a tall ask, if we put it that way, to state that the Commission must give this particular witness the privilege, if we could put it that way, of giving their testimony behind closed doors and not really substantiating what the issues are beyond the issue of the threats, which I think the Commission is well placed to deal with, and not being able to advance beyond what was said here as to which witness has appeared publicly and then, of course, has had their life threatened or lost their life due to their appearance here. So with the preliminary issues no longer being an issue, if we understand it correctly, and we'll then get to the merits to understand what grounds they seek to advance to have not only the testimony behind closed doors, but to also limit the statements to only that of the evidence leader. How then does the Commission does its work? Because we're hearing there are multiple key role players, that is investigators, head of security, researchers, evidence leaders, attorneys, who must have access in order to verify the claims and prepare that particular evidence. All this is taking place just a few days before that testimony. We know that he is due back on Monday before the probe, and we'll learn later today whether or not he'll succeed in this request. If he does, it means that that evidence is going to be behind closed doors, meaning that the public will not get an insight as to what his response or his form of account is to the very serious allegations against him. If it is not successful, then you can expect the usual in these public hearings, is that he will take the stand in front of the nation's glare and answer to those allegations. This is all taking place, Ayanda, while we still expect Shabiri to come back to be tested on his own version. And those allegations, of course, were significantly delayed here, and we can expect that we might actually go into the evening as we wait for this application to be completed before Shabiri then takes a stand and gets tested on his evidence before the probe in respect of his alleged links to cartel members and how he may have allegedly shielded those cartel members from accountability by trying to influence investigations in which they were implicated in.
Yeah, to be fair, I think few people would have guessed that this application would take this long. I don't certainly have a recollection of ever having an application like this drag on as long as this one has, and we're still not even done yet. And without preempting how things are likely to go after this adjournment, Canny, help us distill through that concern around confidentiality, which seemed to have been a sticky issue between the Commissioner and Advocate Kameel Premhid, I beg your pardon, because it seems the commissioners in particular were really at pains to get him to explain on what grounds he's questioning that the statement, for example, would not be dealt with in confidence, essentially.
Indeed, and I think we're all wondering where that particular concern comes from, because since the beginning of the commission, not a single person outside of the commission has had access to those full statements. Even if you see them projected, it's mere pages of those statements, not the full statement itself. However, we are going to hear the merits now of that application. Let's take a listen.